Hello, everyone. My name is Brennan Moore. That noise you're hearing is my ventilator. Welcome to Page Turners They Were Not, my Star Wars podcast, and another Skeleton Crew review. This is the seventh episode of Skeleton Crew, the penultimate episode, and I just wanted to record a few thoughts and things that stood out. I'm excited to see the finale so we can finally get an idea of how this story is going to conclude. But I'm also kind of sad that this will be the end of it. Now, I don't know if there's going to be a season two, but what I do know, or at least I suspect, is that like Star Wars does, they will probably continue some of these story threads at some point, whether it be in books or comics, or possibly even live action. But I imagine that even if the storyline of these four kids does not continue, there will probably be references in other parts of Star Wars to this story. Because that's how Star Wars is. This episode is called We're Going to Be in So Much Trouble, which is a great title. Um, but the things that really stood out to me, apparently there was an interview somewhere where Jude Law said that we would learn more about John in this episode. And as fans often do, many of us were thinking along the lines of a flashback to his days as a young Jedi at the Jedi Temple. We still don't know if that ever happened to him. But that's not what this episode did. It did reveal more about Jod, but it didn't give us those kind of answers. What it did do was demonstrate that Jod is actually kind of evil. He does some pretty nasty things in this episode. I mean, he kills Brutus in a kind of a shocking way. Blasts him in the head. Shoots the guy right point blank in the head. And the children see this happen. I mean, you don't actually see the blaster bolt hit Brutus in the head, but the implication of it is frightening. That John actually goes up to him point blank and kills him. That's extremely cold. And also when he threatens the kids with the lightsaber, yells at them, tells them to shut up, and yells at and criticizes their attitudes. Saying Wim is kind of an idiot. Yeah, he's like, you're the worst in it. So essentially, we see John do some horrible things. And further, he threatens the kids that he's going to kill their parents if they don't keep their mouths shut, you know. So we really get to see what John is really like. And the question, of course, is he going to make a better choice in the finale? And at this point, I'm not really sure because he's gone from being a Jack Sparrow kind of character to being a full-on murderer and violent kind of guy. And so the question is, can he make the right choice? And I don't know at this point. I really don't. I mean, Star Wars always teaches us that it's never too late to make the right choice. I'm not sure John will ever make the right choice. His obsession with the treasure, his obsession with power and control, using people for his own means. I don't know. I mean, we've seen many characters, including Darth Vader, make the right choice in the last. Now, often we have seen a character will make the right choice and then they'll die, you know. Riva in Obi-Wan Kenobi was one of the few characters that made the right choice and didn't die. And now she has to go and reckon with what she has done. What's going to happen to Jod? Is he going to make the right choice and die? Is he going to make the right choice but still get punishment for what he did? Or is he going to just run away scot-free because he figures out some nefarious plan to escape, you know? I don't know, and I'm open to whatever that may be. Now, we may never learn where John comes from and why he is the way he is. But I'm okay if they don't want to answer that question. Because sometimes I think Star Wars leaves things up to our imaginations, and that's part of the fun of it. You go back to the original film, when it came out in 1977, it dropped a lot of references to things that it never answered. It has answered them in the years since then, but it didn't answer them at the time. You know, what are the Clone Wars? What happened to, you know, this or that or this character? What was, you know, the relationship that Darth Vader had with Obi-Wan back in the day? We didn't get those answers immediately. And that was almost more fun because it left it up to our imagination. Now, if they want to answer the questions about Jod, that's great. And if they don't want to answer the questions, that's great too. So I'm willing to take it either way just because I enjoy some of the ambiguity, but I'd also be interested in the answers. But maybe sometimes answering the question is the worst thing you could do in some cases. So I don't know if he was a youngling at the Jedi Temple. I don't know if he witnessed Order 66 and witnessed Darth Vader slaughtering people. We may never know, but it'd be either way. I trust the storytellers to deliver something that is going to be compelling and interesting. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about really quick is the idea of layers. The onyx cinder gets through the barrier around At-Attin and lands on the planet, or more specifically, is guided in by an automated system, which would suggest to me that whoever set up that society intended it to be that the onyx cinder would be able to get in. So, could this be that Tak Renaud is this mysterious supervisor? It wouldn't make sense given the circumstances that he set up this world as his own personal retreat that nobody else would be able to access. And now we know why, because the ship lands and goes down an elevator deep, deep, deep into the planet, into the crust of the planet, where we see the vault. One of 1,000 vaults, full to the brim with gold. Gold bars, Old Republic money. It is completely filled. And John's eyes light up because this is what he's wanted. Now, 2 episodes ago, John said my favorite Star Wars quote: "Your focus determines your reality." Now, that statement is a two-edged sword. If your focus is on the good things, then that will be your reality. If your focus is on treasure, wealth, and power, and prestige, that will dominate who you are. And as far as I can tell, Jod has taken that lesson of your focus determines your reality. And in his case, his focus is on money. That's all he can see. So when he sees this treasure room, he is completely smitten. And that is his reality. Now, like I said, he may still make a better choice. But I don't know at this point. Not after his behavior in this episode. But as I say, Star Wars always teaches it's never too late to make the right choice. And I hope that Jod does make the right choice. Now, what's going to happen to these 1,000 vaults full of money? I have no idea. Um, Maybe it will end with stopping the mint entirely. Maybe burying the treasure and leaving it there to rot because of the effect that it can have on people's, the way that money can corrupt people. Is that going to be the end of the story, or is this money going to go to benefit the new republic, which is trying to build itself? Either way, I think it would be the most satisfying, and maybe I'm wrong, if they were to bury the treasure and forget it ever existed because it drives everyone insane. But as we've often learned in Star Wars, or at least I've learned, that just because I want something to happen in a story doesn't mean it needs to happen. And it could be that they give it a payoff that's even better than I expected. So, and the other thing I want to point out is the treasure is buried deep, deep, deep within the surface of the planet. What is buried deep within Jod? What is it that made him turn out this way? What is the trauma he's hiding? And also, is he a good person at heart that he's tried to cover by being jaded and greedy, and he's put on this crust? What's down there? We've seen a few times in this show layers. The onyx cinder was buried under a layer of armor. KB was holding on to resentment under a layer of distance. Under a layer of I don't know what the word would be, but KB hiding it by being very passive. The layers of what's under Jod. The layers of what is under Skull Mountain. What is under that luxury resort at the top? There are so many layers in this show. Bureaucratic layers on At-Attin. The show has been all about layers. And the metaphor of the treasure being buried deep within could be that Jod has a good side buried deep within. But even if he doesn't, so many of the characters and things in this story have layers. And that, I think, is a great visual metaphor. So this is really John's episode. And it would be interesting to see what choice he finally makes. But we shall see. So those are a few thoughts. On episode 7, we're going to be in so much trouble. This penultimate episode of Skeleton Crew, presented by Page Turners They Were Not, my Star Wars podcast. My name is Brennan Marr, that noise you hear is a ventilator. Thank you for tuning in. May the Force be with you.